everyone, I hope you're well. Now today we need to do some meal prep, so I thought why not share this with you? Because at the moment I think prepping meals in advance is probably more important than ever because, you know, how everything is in this weird world, we can't just nip to the supermarket and grab a ready meal or something like that. We need to think about what we're eating in advance and to have meals prepared, ready, so that we can just in the evening be like, oh, we'll just have that from the freezer or that from the fridge and we made it ourselves. It's just super handy. So today I'm going to show you 4 different meals that you can prep in advance. One of my favourite ingredients at the moment is Alaskan salmon, and a couple of the recipes that are in this video include Alaskan salmon, one as a smoked salmon and the other as just raw salmon that I'm going to cook in the oven. And honestly, if you haven't tried it before, or if you haven't even seen it before, in the supermarket you'll find it and it's really bright and vibrant in colour. And Alaskan salmon is wild salmon and therefore it runs wild or swims wild in the ocean, and it's just a much fitter type of fish. So therefore it is really high in protein and really good source of omega-3s and all that jazz. So enough of that waffle, let's get our Tupperware and let's get meal prepping. First up are my freeze for later fish cakes, packed with Alaskan salmon. Now, we often make these in advance and freeze them because sometimes they take that little bit too long to make when I want them. So they're really good to freeze. So first up, you just need to peel your potatoes because fish cakes actually have lots of mashed potato in them. So I peel them and then I chop them and then I pop them in a pan with some salted water and boil them for a while. And whilst they're boiling, I then get my salmon going. So this is wild Alaskan sockeye salmon, and you can see it's such a nice vibrant red colour, and it tastes actually amazing once cooked. It's also got great texture. So I pop this onto my baking sheet with a little bit of oil and I just sort of massage the fish with the oil, and then it's ready for it to go into the oven. And whilst that's cooking in the oven, I chop up some of my herbs, which was some parsley and some fresh chives. Now that the fish is out of the oven, I just flake it. I flake it quite chunky, and I also keep the salmon skin because it has loads and loads of flavour and you definitely don't want to waste any Alaskan salmon. So once that's all flaked, I put it to one side and I bring my potatoes in, which I'm just going to mash. I just mash them completely plain at first, just to make them quite nice and smooth. And then into that, I add in some tomato puree, I add in a bit of mustard and some lemon juice. You can add whatever you want, but I think these flavours really go well together. I also add in those chopped herbs and mix it all up, and it goes a really nice sort of almost salmony colour really. And then I add in the best part, the Alaskan salmon, mix it all in, be a bit careful with it because it's a bit more delicate now it's cooked and flaked. And now for making the fish cakes into proper fish cakes, and that mixture. So in one bowl, put an egg, then some flour in another bowl, and then put some gluten-free breadcrumbs in another bowl. And now what you want to do is you want to get your mixture, like your fish cake mixture, and put it into like fish cake shapes. I mean, you can make any shape you want, but these sort of overly round ones are what I do. And I make them quite chunky and quite thick because I like a big fishy fish cake. So I beat my egg and then I go through these stages. So I coat it in flour, then I coat it in some egg, and then I coat it in the breadcrumbs, and I just repeat that for every single one and put them to one side so that they're all ready, so that I can fry them straight away. So final one, put it in the gluten-free flour, put it in the egg, and then put it in the breadcrumbs, and they're ready to fry. So I put some oil in a pan and then just fry it on either side, and then I also fry it around the edges because it's just nice to have crispy edges and stuff, and when they're quite chunky you kind of need to do that. I also change the oil quite a lot when I'm doing this, just so that it doesn't get too sort of dark because little bits come off and it can burn in the oil, but then they're done. And put them into Tupperware and then put them in the fridge or freezer for whenever you want them. And you can cook them from frozen, they'll just take about 20 minutes.
Oh, I am here.
Oh, hello.
This week I made dirty rice, but a batch cook version, so loads of it.
Okay.
And it's basically a ready meal, ready for the week ahead.
Perfect.
So I started by chopping up red pepper.
Okay.
You can use any veg you want, but I find that red pepper just flavours the whole dish. Kind of makes the rice taste peppery.
Yep.
So then I chopped some spring onions, which I don't use. I'll throw them in at the end. And I wanted some broccoli to serve up alongside the rice in the Tupperware, So I thought, instead of trying to fry it with the rice where it never really properly cooks, I thought I'd microwave it. So you just take your fresh broccoli, put some water in, put a plate on as a lid, microwave for 4 minutes.
Okay.
That's it.
That's amazing.
So this is everything you'll need for my Cajun spice mix.
There's a lot of spices here.
Because dirty rice is basically like Cajun fried rice.
Okay.
So you're going to need a nice... It's not like especially spicy, but there are a lot of spices. So I'll put the recipe for this in the description because there's quite a few here. And if I mention them all, then it'd be like me reading out a shopping list.
Yeah, but they're all the sort of things that you'd have in the cupboard anyway.
And you can happily miss a few out if you don't have them. Like, for example, I've started using celery salt in a lot of my food. It's just like a different kind of way of adding salt to your food and adds a kind of different dimension. So there's my celery salt alongside everything else. So that's enough spice mix for two meals. So there, my broccoli's done. 4 minutes in the microwave.
Such a good idea doing that.
Yeah, it's so quick as well. And this is rice that I cooked earlier. So it's already cold. It's already completely cooled down. And cold rice is the best rice to fry for making any kind of stir fry. So I'm also going to cook some bacon into this. Nice kind of smoky, crispy bits running throughout the rice. So it really is kind of like a one pot meal. It's got everything in it. So I've got some grated carrot, which I also prepared earlier. I just put that on, make sure it's well cooked because we do love our well cooked carrot, as you know. Put in the red pepper, put in the smoky bacon. And I just kind of let it sit at this point because I want the bacon to crisp up, which I find it kind of doesn't if you stir it all into that wet veg. So I kind of just let it sit till it starts to crisp and brown up a bit. Then I'll stir it in, get it all evenly dispersed. I used half of my spice mixture there, saved the other half for another day, added a little bit of stock. So it's quite a wet mixture now, but then you add your rice, it soaks up everything. All that spice blend, all the stock, all the vegetable flavour, all the oil. Chuck in some spring onions, and then here I think I was just like added a little bit more garlic oil, but then I just started tasting. I was like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. I had another bit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I get it. My lunchbox is ready, or my Tupperware ready. And then I just put it in, let it cool down, and then in goes my broccoli alongside it. I could have just chucked the broccoli in with the rice.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it?
I personally just like how it looks.
Yeah.
Like when I'm getting this ready out to eat.
It looks like you've got separate parts to the meal, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So then I put on some chili flakes, spring onions, and that is it. Box up, freeze it, fridge it, whatever you want, and then you just have to reheat it during the week, whenever you want. Nice, spicy, warming rice.
Yeah, it's delicious. Rice is nice. Okay, so next thing I made is my spiced mini salmon frittatas. Now these are so easy. You can eat them cold, you can eat them hot, you can take them out with you. You don't have to take them out. But they're super simple, and that's what is so good about these. So I use some sockeye salmon in this, smoked sockeye salmon. It is so lovely and vibrant and bright, but I'll put that in later. First off, you want to break or crack in a few eggs into a jug and just beat them all so they're nicely combined. There's no yolks that you can see. Then I just add in a bit of salt and pepper for seasoning, and then mix that in again, just so that it's all combined. Next up, I add curry powder, which is something I never usually would add to eggs, but trust me, this really works. It makes these frittatas really warming. And then just spray a little bit of oil into each of your muffin or cupcake tins and pour egg into it instead of cupcake mixture. And if you don't fill them all, it doesn't matter. But then just put in some broccoli, which this is actually broccoli left over from what Mark made in the previous meal, and then add in that brightly coloured, delicious sockeye smoked salmon, and just go crazy with it. Put as much as you want in, and then top with some spring onions. Now, once they're out the oven, they look amazing, don't they? And you literally can just eat them as they are. You can have them with a bit of salad. Like I put them in this little tub, and then I can take them out with me, and they work really well. They really are just such a nice thing. We've been making these for years, and the salmon in them is just perfection.
So I'm back.
Hi.
And this time I've made another ready meal kind of style dish. It's my railway curry.
I love your railway curry.
It's not really spicy curry, it's quite mild and creamy.
Yeah.
So I think anyone would like this curry. So as some of you know, some of you might not know, I always cook my rice, kind of steam it in the microwave. So it doesn't matter the exact measurement, just a measurement of rice and double that measurement again of boiling hot water.
Yep.
So put it in a dish, lid on, must have a lid on.
Always.
Microwave at lowest power for 30 minutes. I think it's 180 watts.
Yeah.
Not lowest.
It's the easiest
Yeah.
thing to do in the whole world.
So this is my spice mix for the curry. It's curry leaves, turmeric, I think that's ground coriander. Again, all written down in the description below. Tamarind paste and some ginger. This again, probably stuff that you've got lurking around somewhere as well in your cupboards. Bit of stock in there, and also some creamed coconut. That's instead of using coconut milk. I like to use stock and creamed coconut instead of a tin of coconut milk for this one. So I love potato and curry.
So do
recently.
I. It works so well. It just absorbs all the flavour and has a great texture when cooked into a nice sauce.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it would go with rice because it's like rice and potato.
Oh, it goes.
It's
Trust
so good.
us.
So I fry them a bit in some oil, add my curry leaves, then add my spice mixture. That was the whole lot this time. Mix it round so they're well coated. I always add gluten-free flour to my curries to make sure they always are nice and thick.
Yep.
And then I added my stock. And then I basically just bring this to the boil, simmer it for a bit, and it's starting to reduce down a bit, but I'm basically just cooking the potatoes here because, you know, they were completely raw when I put them in.
Yep.
So next goes my creamed coconut.
For that creaminess.
It's nice having that because it's just a block.
It's really
that I just measure a bit off. So then I add in my spinach whilst the curry is now reducing down, thickening up. Let that wilt down, add my chickpeas. You can add whatever you want to this really, lentils, chicken.
You can make it a meat curry or a veggie curry, yeah.
So my rice is done.
Yep.
30 minutes in the microwave, basically done at the same time my curry is reduced. So it all just comes out done at the same time. So then I put my rice in the Tupperware to cool down. And then I'm also going to put in my curry as well. And I like to add a little bit of black pepper to plain rice.
It's something we had at a restaurant once and it makes such a difference.
Trust me, you wouldn't think it makes any difference. It's great.
It's really
like a bit
is.
Spicy. So there's my curry. All nicely cooked, soft potato. I top it with fresh chives.
And don't put the lid on until they're cooled out.
Don't put the lid on. That was just for video purposes.
Yes.
So that is it. Mildly spicy, creamy, just absolutely beautiful. Really nice warming meal when
It just works so well,
you can't be bothered to cook.
Yeah, I'd have it every day.
If you've enjoyed this video and you want to check out more videos, then click over here for my What I Eat in a Day video and click over here for a What's for Dinner video. And I will see you in the next video.